can vouch for this if you looked into this, and I don't mean to spoil what you're getting at here, but definitely praying just kind of ended it very quickly. It was probably the last time it happened, one of the scariest moments of my life, and just waking up and feeling like you're caught between being awake and asleep and knowing that you're awake but you can't move and something coming toward you and being able to make it out very clearly. Definitely was like the old hag type thing, you know?
Right.
It's sitting there. It takes a couple seconds. Well, it feels like it takes much longer, or it did in my case, because I was just totally scared out of my mind. And once you realize that you're not really dreaming, and it's like instinctually begin praying, and it just stops. But it feels like you're trapped in a moment that just keeps going, and this thing is just coming toward you, and it's I don't know. It just my experience was very, very, very unnerving.
Oh yeah, and and some of these people are just, I mean, it happens to them, every night. They're afraid to go to sleep. They don't want to go to sleep, and they're looking for all kinds of different ways to stop it. Mainly, that's the thing. They're on the internet, like seeing if anybody knows how to stop it, and everybody's got these just ideas that are just as varied as there are, people. And it's sad in a lot of ways. And the weird thing is that in most cases, I mean, I hate to be general about it, but that's the thing. You can't be general about what is causing it. A lot of times you can be very clear. You can go to these people's like YouTube profiles or whatever and see the kind of things that they're into, and they're doing videos about like, getting powers from the Ouija board and stuff like that. And a lot of people doing stuff like that, very interested in, astral projection and these kind of things. And so you can see that in a lot of ways they have given up some sort of authority willingly. And I think a lot of times that's the obvious case. And then there's cases where it's not quite so obvious. And then there's even cases where it's not obvious at all. And but generally I'm thinking, as I keep going along in this, I see a lot of times it has to do with not necessarily what is actually authority, but sometimes what the lie that they've been told is the authority. Like, it's not really a binding law that that they have authority over you, but they've gotten a person to believe it is. It's really complicated. I'm trying to piece it all together, but I think the long and the short of it is that even the people that have no concept of what Jesus is or any kind of idea about it somehow know, because of the severity of these entities, scare factor, and how sure that they are that it's evil. They don't know anything about anything, but they know this is evil. It just emanates it. So I think that their instinctual ideas are to pray, and it's just interesting to hear these people talk about how they just never even thought about anything else, but they are calling out to Jesus, and then these things are just getting slammed up against the walls, and all kinds of things happen then. So in a way, it's really a good testament to the power of Jesus Christ, and it really makes you, it's building my faith, and I hope to the people that don't have it, it'll build their faith, and to the people that do have it, it'll build their faith. So that should be out here hopefully next week, but there's still a lot, or actually maybe in a few days, I don't know, maybe a day, but I'm also I think one thing I've been doing lately too is with the YouTube channel, trying to kind of get more bang for the buck by doing a YouTube video of a podcast and then just playing the audio of it. And I'm hoping to be able to do that more. So basically I'm working this podcast in video, but it'll translate to audio as well, so I can double the impact, hopefully.
That's pretty cool. Actually, a very good idea.
Right on. Yeah, the YouTube thing, man, it's just a really interesting community thing going on, and just I'm really, really excited about the potential there, because a lot of people do basically all their research on YouTube. If it's not on YouTube, they haven't heard about it.
Yeah, it's weird, too, because I noticed, you'll get someone that will subscribe, and then another person will subscribe, and then all of a sudden there'll be 15 people subscribing in an hour. I'm clueless. I feel like I'm out of the loop with it. It just, it's really mind-blowing how many people really do just completely, almost like a MySpace type social networking thing right on YouTube.
Right, it is. It really is, and I think that there are just so many opportunities to do research that was unable to be done before in a lot of different areas, and also to see things that I don't know, to see things that people are doing. I don't know. Like I was watching this. It's kind of like COINTELPRO doesn't really wear that big of masks on it, at least. But I guess I think of COINTELPRO a lot of something more sinister, I guess. Like I'm thinking of some of the Sci-Fi Channel stuff is so insidious about like saying that the aliens thing. I mean, they conclude everything. The whole like I'm talking now because I was doing a lot of with the sleep paralysis thing. It kind of is married to alien abduction in a lot of different ways. So I was looking into a lot of that. And man, I'm telling you what, it's so obvious how much these major networks are like, oh yes, they just like all these abductees. You know, they're having I believe that they were having real experiences of this torture. I do believe it was demonic, and they were like saying these obvious things that were like so obviously demonic. You know, they were just doing it for the pleasure of torturing them, and then they like totally edit it and make these people say that it was good for them and it was all a pleasant experience and they're glad it happened and they are so super special and Space Brothers, blah blah blah. I'm like, man, how can you come to that conclusion after all that stuff that they put you through, But
yeah, it's just getting really messy out there. I mean, that's really the only way to put it. I mean, I don't know. It's just getting easier and easier to actually just see through. I guess what most people would look at as just really programming. It's cleansed, it's cleaned up and repackaged as something wonderful or something entertaining, but you can see very clearly what really they're saying, what really is going on behind the scenes. Especially like you were saying with sci-fi. I mean, I watch, or I have watched on and off. I don't really watch much TV, but most of the stuff I watch, because I'm a geek, is like sci-fi stuff, or if my girlfriend is here and has like the Cooking Network or other science type shows on. But I mean, when I watch sci-fi, everything, I mean, even the corniest shows on there, what was it, Eureka or something, I watched like 2 episodes of, and they have like this town where everyone is like this brainiac, like super scientist, and they're all working on these top secret projects and stuff. And I mean, the main science office has this giant golden pyramid sitting on the front lawn, and I mean, I don't know. It's just almost too easy to sit there and now just say, I get it. I don't know. Just really weird.
I hear you. And it is getting crazier, but I think it's got a lot more crazy to get. What about you? What's been hot off of the presses over there?
Actually, I spent the last couple of days working on trying to get the Salvation Revelation back up because it was dead and then it was just not functioning right. And I registered a new domain name yesterday and started piecing together a new site for the new show. So I just don't, I was going to just keep doing it with Salvation Revelation, but I figure it's probably best just to kind of retire the whole thing. And so I registered, the show name is going to be Wise as Serpents, and I registered wiseasserpents.com.
Cool.
So when you see that pop up on the Revelations Radio Network, which should be sometime, hopefully, next week, you'll know what it is.
That's cool. That's cool. What about this Chimera thing? What's the deal with all that?
I guess they've approved it. I know the other day I was on Drudge. This was like 2 nights ago, I think. Right before the Ted Kennedy thing happened, and the whole like front page of Drudge, all at the top, was like chimeras, human animal hybrids, Frankenstein. I mean, these were like all the things. There were pictures of it. I mean, it was plastered all over. And then the Ted Kennedy thing happened, and I don't know, for those of you that don't know, apparently Ted Kennedy has a brain tumor, and that's pretty much been the only thing anyone's talking about for a couple days now. I'm trying to find the email I sent you that had the article to the Chimera thing, but not seeing it right this second.
Yeah, it's just that's some interesting stuff. It's like, I mean, it's just, in a way, it's kind of silly. I mean, what good is it to say, it just, I mean, even if all this stuff wasn't, like, actually being done somewhere in some, black ops place or something like that, but for them to even say, like, well, legislate, I don't, like, voting, basically, on whether they should fertilize, animal embryos with human sperm, or it's like, okay.
It's like they insist that we accept it or that we ask for it. I mean, here's the thing. British scientists will be allowed to research devastating diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's using human-animal embryos after the House of Commons rejected a ban yesterday. Because they banned it at first, and now they overturned that. And this is all just, about Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Then you're right. It's right in your face. They're not even just doing it, and they've probably been doing it right along, but now I don't know. It just seems like everything that they do, they want X percentage of the population to be right behind it. I'm sure Michael J. Fox is loving this right now, and I don't know. It's not like I want people to suffer. It's not like I want people not to be cured of diseases, but at the same time, I mean, we kind of have an idea of what they're actually constructing here. What they're building.
Right, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, if you didn't know any of that, I mean, I could see the point of view being like, if they can do it, they can do it, whatever, and especially if you were like, if you were in another part of the world that had nothing like the same moral differences, or, I mean, there would be moral fiber, but there wouldn't be the same kind of moral fiber, and they wouldn't have any particular reason not to do this or whatever. And I could see them saying, well, what does English Parliament have to do with us? Screw them, And I'm not saying, well, since it can't be stopped, let's just do it. And I'm not saying we should do it. I'm just saying it's the whole, I don't know. It just seems like it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. On one hand, I don't even think this is something that they just want to put out there to get us used to. I don't know. I'm really confused about the thought process on their end for this one.
I don't know. I would imagine it's pretty much what Mark just said in the room, which is they want to construct like super soldiers out of these things. Eventually. I mean, pretty much anytime you see something happening in science, anytime you see, like, the money going, and you know that this will end up being backed by the government in whatever countries that it gets picked up in, there's usually some military application to it. And I don't know if anyone listened to, I guess it was Ziggy's last show where he had Steve Quayle on, but, I mean, I like Steve Quayle or not like Steve Quayle, I think that you kind of have to admit that he's dead on with a lot of things. And when there were reports about some girl, and I can't remember what country she was from, but they basically dubbed her a human with the Hercules gene. She weighed like 90 pounds or something, and she was lifting like 300 or 400 pounds, and they grabbed her and basically took a swab of her DNA, and they, as crazy as it sounds, while you're hearing about this, there's all kinds of stories out there about dogs that can sniff cancer, Koreans or someone wanting to clone them. When they figure out how to create some kind of a hybrid animal, human, that has, some kind of ESP, I mean, just think about all the different things that animals can perceive that we can't, that has what we would perceive to be superhuman strength. They're going to do it, and they're going to do some kind of a thing. In my opinion, they're going to do something very similar to what was done in Star Wars, where they just have this thing and then they clone the crap out of it and try to build an army of these like superior humans. I mean, that's basically what Hitler was trying to do, and we know how much influence Hitler has over the powers that be today. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely seems to be a very central part of this whole thing. And I think part of it, in a way, is not so much to have, I think, on maybe the super compartmentalized, and I mean this as people that really understand the game but yet are still compartmentalized themselves, probably do look at it as building a military force, and I'm sure that they need a military force and everything else. But at the other end of the thing, I really do think that it's building bodies for